Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this video we will move further, and in last video we have created the character, and the final task of our course will be creating a game like Takken7. And if you have ever played Takken7 game, you can see that that is a 3D game, 3D focused game. So because UFE has the 2D features and the 3D features, so I am explaining the 2D features as well. So in this video we will change the main stage, the 2D stage, and I will show you that how you can create the custom 2D stages. Definitely our focus will be on 3D stages, and we will in the next future videos we will focused on the 3D stages section and the 3D game. But these things are quite important, because if you want to create a 2D focused game, you can even create that as well. If you have the light version for UFE, then even you can create 2D games. In the light version we don't have the 3D feature. So let's start and let's see how the stages will be spawned here. So if you will go to this UFE manager, and if we open the global config file, you can see that there is a section of stages, and here in this stages you can see that we have a prefab stage, prefab and stage. You can see that we have two type of stages here. One is prefab and one is scene file. So in UFE we have two options. If we click on prefab, you can see that here in the shared asset stages for the training room 2D, we have a prefab. You can see this, okay, and we can actually double click on this prefab. So for example, if we double click, you can see this is a prefab, and this prefab is like this, okay, and we can actually customize this prefab, or we can duplicate this prefab and we can reuse the prefab for another scene. And the other method is this scene file. So here you can see that in the stages we have not only the training room 2D scene, we also have the training room 2D scene, and we also have the prefabs here, okay. So we can customize the prefabs, we can create a prefab, and we can initialize that prefab as a scene, or we can create a new scene as well, and then we can instantiate that scene as well. So there are two ways in the scenes. So let's see the first step, and let's see how we can customize the prefab, and how we can use that we can create a new prefab, and how we can utilize that prefab. So first of all, we should have some scenes. So definitely we have some supported assets, and here I have fantasy forest type environment, and where we have some already pre-built scenes. So let's open some scene maybe, and if you play the scene, you will see that this is this type of scene, which is good. We can analyze this scene in a proper way. So for example, if we focus on a certain area, if you want to focus on a road maybe, or certain area, yeah, this one is fine, I think, this road for example, and we want to make this this place as a platform for example, then we can do so. So let's focus on this, and the other things we don't need. So the other things we can actually delete if we want to do so, but why we want to select, okay, this is a train and these are the trees, okay, actually everything is assembled on the train, okay. So in this case, and the road and everything is the part of the train, and the trees and other things are definitely there. but definitely we don't want to bring train in that prefab, because it will be quite bigger and I don't want to do so. So what we can do, we can just create some custom stage, so that you will get an idea. And in the next step we will create a scene stage as well, no issues. So here I think I'm not happy with these assets, so I will find out some other asset for this stage, and then we'll resume the video. Okay, so now I have imported a asset for the environment. Definitely that asset contains demo assets, but first of all I will show you that how we can customize the prefab. So let's go to UFE and demos, shared assets, stages, and training room 2D. And what I have did is that this default prefab, I have duplicated this prefab as a graveyard. So I will repeat the process. So due to light issue, I can't record that thing. So let's do it again. So this is the default prefab, so make it duplicate and we can rename these, for example, graveyard, because I have imported the graveyard asset. So let's double click on this prefab and you can see that the position etc is the same as the main prefab. So let's go to assets, and now in the ported assets we have the top down graveyard, where we have the some demo scenes which we will definitely use for the scenes setup. For now we will just set up the prefab. So let's go to prefabs, and you can see that we have a lot of prefabs related to the graveyard scenes. One more thing is that we can't analyze that how much our wall size will be. Okay, if we see this, we can't analyze accurately. So for that purpose we have to play the game, and then we will just analyze that how bigger will be our character, and with that difference we will just analyze that how much wall we should set up. So here you can see that yeah, these grids you can see this is a our character size is around approximately to the first grid here. Okay, first visible highlighted grid. So that's great. So according to that we will definitely set up our character. So our scene. So let's go back, demos, shared assets, stages, 2D, and then graveyard. Double click and you can see this is the first highlighted grid. So our character size will be like here. Okay, so if we for example create a very bigger walls, then that will not be very nice. Okay, so let's move back and let's assets top down, and let's go to prefabs. And if you go to do some wall, for example, here you can see the wall, and if you place this wall over here, you can see the size of the wall is there, and we can actually match the size of the wall. And I think that this size is quite good for the wall, and yeah, size is fine I think, although we can make it a little bit bigger. So let's bring some walls here, and this is also a wall, so we need this corner wall as well, and let's add this corner wall here. Then we have some other type of walls, for example this wall, and this is actually the, yeah, we can place this wall as well, but I think for the corners we can utilize this wall. Okay, at one corner we can place this, and the other corner we can place this. or maybe let's delete it, no need for this. And yeah, this is a straight wall, and this is a straight wall as well. And for example this one, okay, this one. So I'm just adding up some walls just for creating the main background. So here I will just focus on a wall. You can see this is a type of a wall. And one more important thing you should realize, do not add the colliders, okay, for these walls. Anyhow, I will, in the end I will just remove the colliders, and I will show you a shortcut as well. And yeah, okay, so let's rotate this to the 90 minus 90. Okay, and then we will just sample up the things. So let's add it here, let's add it here maybe. Okay, and then the other side. So we will take some time to create the main section of wall. So now we have created this simple wall, and definitely the wall size we have to manage little bit. But before that I will just create a object here, create an empty object, and I will just name it wall, so that we can manage everything inside this object. And definitely just add it to the wall, and then that's great. Definitely these walls are also the prefabs, so if you want to unpack these prefabs, you can manually do that as well. But for now I think for the purpose we don't want it. Let's select everything and let's make it unpack, no issue, so that we can easily manage these prefabs. And then we will just select the mall and move it back to somewhere here maybe. And then according to the grid size, you can see the grid size is here, around here, and we can just make it bigger, not too much because it will be exaggerated. So I think this much is good. And then we can just check the ground. Okay, that's beautiful. And then we can just make it here maybe. Okay, so these are the walls, and definitely with this you will get a idea, so that create your own prefabs like this. But I'm just not I will not spend too much time on this process, because the main focus of R is to develop the 3D game. Okay, so here you can see this wall we don't need, and this is a corner wall. So let's bring it here. Before that we'll just rotate it like this, okay, to 90 degree, and then we'll just bring it to the right position. Here you can see the position. So definitely you can manage the accurate position in a proper way. And then we will just duplicate this thing to the other side, and make it minus 90 maybe, and then press F to focus. And okay, not minus 90, we have to rotate it to 180 degree, minus 180 degree, and then we'll just bring it here. I'm just showing you this process because if you want to create your own levels, it will be your baby. So here we can just delete this valve. This valve we also don't need it, and yeah, everything looks good. And then finally we will just duplicate this valve as well, and just bring it here. Yeah, it's a double-sided valve, so no issue. We can just rotate it to 90 degree, and then we can place it to the right position. Okay, so yeah, and then we'll just duplicate it, and everything looks perfect. We will definitely duplicate these valves to the other side as well. Control D, and let's bring it to the other side of the scene, and we'll just bring it here. Definitely we have the height issue, I think so, or maybe not. Yeah, little bit. So let's bring it here maybe, and little bit back, and that's great. So final thing, we need ground, and definitely after the ground you can add some back environment as well, and the word as well, but in here for the purpose of this tutorial I'm just showing you the method how we can create a certain okay, with some pre-built models. So for example here, if we let's add this valve maybe, and let's focus it, and you can see the size of the valve. So let's make it bigger, and let's rotate it to the 0 degree x-axis. And now I'm just using this valve as a ground as well, so you can do so, and you can create your own ground, or you can utilize your own prefabs. I am just showing you the methods that you can do so as well. So here you can see that we have the valve. We can just place it here maybe, and yeah, at this spot it is good. Let's bring it here, let's duplicate it, and duplicate it. Select everything again, Control D to duplicate, Control D to duplicate again, Control D to duplicate again. So in this way we can actually create the ground. Definitely the easiest way is to create a plane, or you can create a cube, and then you can place the texture on that cube as well. Anyhow, for the purpose we have created this, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger, and that's it. we have successfully created our main first prefab. Now the thing is that we don't need any colliders from these prefabs. Okay, we only need the collider, the main collider only. Okay, so if you will see this plane, which is the far plane, if we hide the mesh colliders, you can see this is the mesh collider which we need actually. And if we hide the plane, you can see this plane is hidden. And if we want to only hide the mesh only for this plane, we can select this, and where it is, okay, inside the, yeah, the main thing, and we can hide the mesh render, okay, like this. So we don't want to hide the mesh collider, we only want to hide this mesh renderer. And now the other mesh colliders we actually don't need at all. Okay, so if we select the wall, you can see the walls and everything has the box collider. So if, for example, you have this type of issue, so I will just unpack the prefab before doing everything, any other thing. And if, for example, you face this type of issue that you have lot of colliders and you want to delete that irrelevant colliders, no problem, you can type here t dot, and then you can write here box collider, like this. Okay, so I think I have this spelling issue, box collider. Okay, why it's not searching over here? Okay, because it is in the prefab. And anyhow, for now we can delete it, although it should find out the mesh colliders or box collider in the scene, but I think because we are exploring the prefab, so it's not possible here within the prefab. Although in the scene, if you will type t dot box collider, it will select all the objects which has the box collider. Okay, so let's select the walls, and we can manually delete the box if we want to do so. So I'm just going to do this because it's not finding out the wall within the prefab, so no issue. We can select the objects and we can manually delete the box colliders. So now after deleting all the colliders, we can save everything and we can return back, and now we have a new prefab. For the purpose, I have just created a simple wall for the prefab. Definitely you can create some more advanced environment as well, but for now we can select the 2D, we can go to the here, go global config, and here you can see we have the stages. So let's duplicate this prefab stage, so let's click here, let's duplicate it, and now we have our new duplicate here. So let's rename this prefab section, so let's make it grave yard prefab. Okay, and definitely you can get a picture for this graveyard prefab, and you can place it as well. So for example, I will just adding a simple simple sample image. It's not the real one. Definitely we will, in the finalized version, when we will working on the original game, we will add the accurate one. And okay, here's in AV format, I don't want it in AVIF format, so let's snip it and let's make it grave like this, and let's bring it in the Unity, for example. So go to the desktop and grave, let's bring it here, let's add it here. Okay, and now we have the new image for the scene, and that's it, everything is set up. Yeah, the stage prefab we didn't have added, so let's add this graveyard. Okay, so now everything is good. Save everything and let's play the game, and hopefully you will see that we will have our new level, new stage over there. So let's player versus CPU maybe, and then we will have training room, we will have graveyard, you can see, and if you click on the graveyard, then we have a nice graveyard prefab, and you can see that we can play the game and everything working nice. Okay, and definitely you can build your own prefab, and here you can see the limit here. So if for example you want to add the custom limit for the character, for example when our character move back to certain area, for example this, now you can see that behind this it can't move. So what we can do that in the real time, you can see we can open the global config, and if we go to this level section where we have added the stages. So for example where it is the where it is the stages. Okay, sorry, I have the eyesight issues, so yeah, here it is. So if we open the stages, you can see that we have this limit, and we can actually manipulate this limit in the real time, and it will be implemented. Okay, so here you can see for this graveyard prefab we have the limit of 37. So if you will decrease or increase this limit, you can set up the bounds. Okay, and also we can set up the camera bounds and other things. Definitely that things will be in the next chapters. For this video it's enough. In next video we will learn that how we can set up the scene for the 2D fighter. Goodbye.